thing too here, Ron, if I can insert.
Sure.
A lot of this period was all made overseas. Even the patterns that were at the White House that our presidents chose were chose from overseas companies. Then you moved into American-made product. People really wanted things from, well, they wouldn't have anything to do with things from Japan or even Germany for a long time. And so the American China companies started up and the pottery companies, and that's where you got into this period of time.
Yeah. And you did have, I mean, obviously you had more formal wear. This is where we also start to get the, you know, the stoneware look, the everyday china. I think the Victorian era, they recommended that you have, you know, a print set, a colored set, and the Masons might have been a little bit more of an everyday set, and then you'd have a white set that would be your formal china if you had two sets. Okay, so contemporary, and basically the word, I mean, contemporary nowadays can really be anything, and I kind of took that at its course. I tried to use some modern pieces, but I also mixed in the glassware. Actually, I just didn't even look at the manufacturer. I went downstairs and grabbed what I thought looked good, because basically the idea is mix and match, and I really wanted to talk about this. Also, the idea of, you know, we have Pinterest, and we have, you know, you can go online and just, you know, see what other people are doing design-wise. We've got Martha Stewart Living, all the design magazines. And so, you know, whereas here you had people, you had Mrs. Beaton and Castles prescribing what you ought to do. And here you have like Ladies' Home Journal of Good Housing. You start this movement of where do you get your source ideas. And here it's, you know, a little bit more crowdsourced. So my napkin idea, I completely stole this off of Pinterest. So the idea of mixing and matching is, and whether you do this with a set of your own, you know, sets of your own, or if you decide, you know, you're going to hit the closet and start mixing and matching. And we actually had a young couple last summer who came in, who for their wedding china, they basically told their friends, you know, we want you to pick our china for us. So they basically asked anybody, if you were going to give them china for the wedding, give them one place setting of a china that you liked. And so that they had everybody's, you know, their friends' taste as their wedding china, which I thought was a really cool idea. I didn't know how, you know, don't know what their dinner table actually looked like, but I remember they came in and they were great. But basically the idea is when you mix china, obviously, you know, the difference is you want to look for something that has, you know, if you have an accent plate, you can go with a center design, but you want something with a really strong border, so that when you start combining them, you know, the border element is highly seen. I also chose black and white and silver with a little gold accent. Because for some reason I think it's really hot right now. I was looking. These are the two. Jill loaned me Tabletop Today, which is sort of an industry magazine on table design and, you know, china, crystal, flatware. But if you look through it, I'm seeing more and more black and white, lots of geometrics. I like the idea of sort of combining some different textures, and my big challenge was to see if I could do it with 3 different manufacturers, and I did manage to do Noritake, Spode, and Wedgwood. So we've got Noritake Segovia, which is kind of a nice lacy pattern. And this is Wedgwood Black Asia, which has that sort of very, you know, slightly playful Greek key. And then, and this is Wedgwood Filigree, no, Spode Filigree, sorry, which has just a little bit of color, but not a lot, which I kind of thought just picked up a little bit of the greenery. So, and again, I actually, like I said, my mom made these, some of these for her. I just went up to Joann's, and these are probably a little thin for napkin use, but I went to Joann's and got quilting squares, you know, fat quarters, and just hemmed them at mom hemmed them at 18 inches. Now,
what's the greenery you used?
Arbor Vitae.
Oh,
Was this all from Margaret Sharon?
No.
Or you had some?
No, that's cedar.
Oh, it is cedar, okay. Well, that's arborvitae.
Yeah.
Which looks like cedar. So we have cedar and arborvitae.
It's close enough.
Let's see. But you can talk a little bit more about that.
The arrangement, of course, is, you know, the most fun of the three tables, I think. This particular vase can be used either way. It can be turned totally over. So we were thinking about it either way, would have been fine, but then in our talking, we came up with the idea of putting the ornaments inside.
And I really like the idea of the trumpet thing. So I knew what, of course, and then I suggested this to Julia, and then I'm like, I couldn't find one until I remember we had these, which I think just is especially for a festive like New Year's occasion, you kind of like that trumpet shape. So we're kind of mimicking it.
And any time that you have a table where you want to get your floral display up off the table, giving a wonderful presentation when you come into the room, but to get it out of your visual is good too. So either way, this works really well. You can do some banding around this section right here too. If you have this clear, you can put some cording or some garland or ribbon treatment around that. And as far as the floral design, there's just a clear plastic heavy saucer that fits right in the top that the foam is in. And so that just sits right in there on top of the ornaments, and there's some garland inside with the ornaments, because they didn't go all the way down to the bottom. So I said and so dendrobium orchids are the sprays of flowers that come out. And the orchids come in different colors, but of course we picked the creamy white for a more contemporary feel. And then the lilies, those are the two main flowers, along with the textures of the greenery and some of the branches, which I sprayed black. And that real brushed gold is an artificial product, and little pine cones are sprayed gold. So, you know, just to spray out, you can go extremely high with something like that, making it real striking, but you want to keep it so it's not going to come in and be in anybody's face at all.